Hi, this is Greg Thomas, and welcome to the Welsh American channel. In early October of 2023, my wife BJ and I had the grand honor of spending a few days in beautiful North Wales. We visited many of the locations we're going to be discussing today. One of our tour guides, and we felt the very best, was Trevor Taylor, the proprietor of Tudno Tours. Trevor is very knowledgeable about North Wales and was the head of geography at Llandudno Secondary School for 27 years. We found Trevor to be very personable and engaging. My wife and I were in a 9-seater minivan with others, and we all got the personal touch from Trevor. We were able to reach areas that larger coach tours cannot. If you're traveling to North Wales in the future, I encourage you to contact Trevor for an exceptional touring experience. In the comments below, I'll leave his complete contact information. He comes highly recommended. Well, Trevor, welcome to the Welsh American channel.
Croeso Cynnes, a warm welcome here from Wales as well. Yeah, thank you very much for the plug there. That was brilliant. Thank you. Yes, I enjoyed having you on that tour as well.
You deserve the plug. You did an awesome job. We really enjoyed the time that we had to spend with you. So, Trevor, let the audience know where you live in North Wales and maybe a little bit about your background.
Yeah, okay. So my name's Trevor. I'm originally I'm an Englishman. Whisper it gently, but I'm an Englishman but I've lived here for 32 years. So I'm beginning to fit in now. I live in Conwy, which is just outside Llandudno, between Llandudno and Conwy. Basically, my wife's from Anglesey, so she was brought up with a view of Snowdonia out of her bedroom window. So she said to me, when we're buying a house, I've got to have a house with a view, which is quite a challenge when you're buying your first house. I couldn't really afford that much. But I managed to get a view of Conwy Castle out of my upstairs window. So I've at least got something to keep her happy.
Great.
And yeah, I was a teacher for 32 years in total. Last year I decided I'd go my own way and do something else. My father was a bus driver, so driving buses in my genes. And as you know, I'm quite good at talking. So put the two together and you get tour guide, especially around here in North Wales, because we have so much to see. And there really is, I really am proud of what I show people. It's, you mentioned how good the tour was. I mean, it's the surrounding the areas is what makes the tour. So I'm really enjoying. I'm a year in now, and I'm still really enjoying. I'm still opening my mouth and gasping at some of the views that I can take people to and see myself.
Yeah. No, that's great. So, Trevor, today we are going to discuss the top 6 places to visit in beautiful North Wales, and we're going to start with number 6, and then we're going to work our way down to the top number 1 location to visit in North Wales. And I know this was difficult for you to decide. You mentioned to me in an email that it's like asking you to choose your favorite child. So I can understand that there's so many beautiful things to see and do that it would have been very difficult for you to come up with just 6. And I also know that some may disagree. That's the nature of YouTube. And in the comments area, some people may have their own particular favorites in North Wales, and that's okay too. We actually encourage people to comment on this site. But I asked you to do this because you do it for a living. You're familiar with these locations. You taught geography at a secondary school for years. So I believe that you know this area of Wales better than most people would know this area of Wales. And then what we'll do is after we discuss the top 6 locations, we're going to provide some honorable mention because not everything can be included on a list like this. You have to limit it to 6, or in some of them you have some couple of geography combined as a single point, and that's okay. But it's hard to limit the list, so we're going to have an honorable mention after we go through the top 6. And then after we cover that, we're going to talk about some places that may tend to be overhyped. We have a phrase in the United States called a tourist trap, meaning you go there, you pay your money, you walk through it, and when you're done, you say, I don't think that was a very good value. So there may be a few places that you encourage us to avoid, or you just don't think you get a lot of bang for your buck. So we're excited to begin this, and we're going to start with the number 6 top place to visit in North Wales.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It was a real tough ask to try and narrow it down to 6. And I've tried to get a variation of different types of places. But of course, where people want to go to depends on their what they want and what they like. You know, some people want to see natural beauty, other people want to see history. Others might just want to go and shop. So I'll try and pick some that give you a little bit of everything. So my number 6 is the Ogwen Valley. The Ogwen Valley is a valley that runs up from Bethesda, and it's got beautiful, beautiful scenery. You've got a steep-sided glaciated valley, and you've got some of the biggest mountains in Wales all around you. They literally surround the valley. So on a clear day, on one side of the valley, you've got the Caernarfon Mountains, Caernarfon Dafydd, Caernarfon Llywelyn. On the other side, you've got another range of mountains, going some of the highest mountains in Wales. So you really do see the power of nature and the beauty of the area. It's also good if you're a hiker. A lot of people who want to go hiking in Snowdonia think, right, I'll go for a walk up Snowdon. And 500,000 people a year choose to walk up Snowdon, which is about 400,000 too many. It gets really, really busy. So if you want a proper walk and you want to be someone just out on your own and getting a bit of fresh air, then if you go up the Ogwen Valley, there are several walks you can do, from easy walks. There's a lake called Cwmidwal, which you're just walking around a lake with sheer rock either side of you, through to actually walking up to the tops of some of the mountains that you can do. You can go up to Glyder Fawr and Glyder Fach. And if you're very, very risky, you can go up to one called Trevor. But I ought to warn you that I've seen 3 helicopters this year rescuing people off the top of there. So it's a tricky one to go up. Yeah, so maybe I better not recommend that, just in case I get a lawsuit in a couple of years. So that's the top end of the valley. You've got the beautiful scenery. And then at the lower end of the valley, you've got Bethesda, which is an old slate quarrying town. The biggest slate quarry was on the edge of that mountain, which is now turned into a zip wire. So if you're an adrenaline junkie, you've got that. And just outside Bethesda, you've even got a nice sculpture called the Dragon of Bethesda. So the Ogwen Valley, within a space of 5-10 mile drive, you're getting scenery, you're getting history, you're getting culture, and an important part of our industrial history as well. So Ogwen Valley comes in at number 6.
Well, that's great. Now, if I recall correctly, is that zip line the one that goes up to 100 miles an hour?
That's the one. Yes. My family bought it for me, my 50th birthday present. I think they were looking to claim on the insurance from me. So,
well, it looks like you survived. So we're glad to have you here. We're glad to have you here. All right. So that was number 6. Now number 5, the top 5th place. So number 5 to visit in North Wales.
Well, I said to you, my wife's from Anglesey, so I've got to choose somewhere on Anglesey. So I'm going to choose the north and western side of Anglesey.
Okay.
Anglesey is a beautiful island. It's got a really individual history because it's always been cut off from the rest of Wales. The culture of the people of Anglesey is slightly different, but it does trace back thousands and thousands of years. Kings of Anglesey used to live there, and it's a beautiful area with lots of natural scenery. Most people who go to Anglesey go to the south and east side because that's where you got lovely sandy beaches, which is for what some people that's what they want. But me, I'm a bit more antisocial. I prefer my coastlines a bit more rugged, which is why I've gone for the north and west. So on the very western tip of Anglesey, you've got a place called South Stack, which is a stunning sheer drop cliff, several hundred feet sheer drop of a cliff below you, looking down upon a lighthouse on an island down below you. And it's also a bird lover's paradise. If you get there sort of May, June time, you can see puffins. But throughout the year, you get to see a whole range of seabirds flying around. And it really is an area of extreme natural beauty. Again, if you're a walker, you can walk along the cliffs to a place called North Stack, which is another island just a little bit further north.
Right.
So that part of the island is lovely. And then further north within the island, across the very northern tip coast of Anglesey, what you've got there is you'll have the coastline to yourself. My wife and I went for a walk one day. We did not meet another soul for the 3-hour walk that we did along the tops of beautiful cliffs. It really is, because it's quite remote to get to. And you have to know where you're going and find somewhere to park the car. But it is a really remote area, and it's got natural beauty just as it's meant to be. It's even got a little bit of history because that's where Llanbadrig is.
Okay.
Now, Llanbadrig, Llan in front of a place name in Wales means the church of, and then you usually have the name of the saint afterwards. Badrig is the Welsh name for Patrick, because as I love to mention to my Irish friends, Patrick was a Welshman. And he went over to try to tame the Irish, but on his way, he shipwrecked off the north coast of Anglesey. and you can actually see, if you're prepared to clamber down the cliffs, you can actually see the cave where St. Patrick sheltered when he was shipwrecked. And above the top of there, you've got this really quaint little church that's built in his honour, with a really unusual interior. So north and west Anglesey, I say it's remote, and it's not where tourists normally go, but it's got something that really is quite unique about it. It just feels right. It feels unique.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. That's really great. Yeah, great. Yeah, my wife and I took a ferry from Holyhead to Dublin after we visited with you and spent a few days in North Wales. And it was the ferry was very enjoyable. Actually, it was almost like being on a first class cruise ship. So we enjoyed that very, very much. Any other comments?
It takes you right to the centre of Dublin as well, doesn't it?
Yes,
you
it
get
absolutely does.
Literally within 2 miles of centre. You're right on the mouth of the River Liffey, so you can actually get there and back in a day if you really want to. You can go and have a day trip in Ireland and still get back in decent time. So I'm not putting that on my list though, because that's visiting Ireland. That's not North Wales.
All right, fair enough. All right, so Trevor, the top places to visit in North Wales, number 4.
Number 4, right. For number 4, I'm going to head to northeast Wales. I'm based in the northwestern side of Wales, so I don't want to ignore my northeastern colleagues just in case I get into trouble. So I'm going to go to a place called Llangollen for you.
Okay.
Now, Llangollen's a really pretty little town. It's set on the River Dee, and the River Dee flows through the middle of the town. There are riverside walks you can do up and down. The town itself is a shopper's paradise. It's got lots of quite quaint and unique places to go and shop. And if you're a steam lover, you've got a locomotive train. There's the Llangollen Railway, which takes you up to a town called Ogwen. And behind that, you've got a canal that you can walk along. And of course, Llangollen's also famous. It's world famous for its internationalised Steddfod. So we have a competition every year in the middle of summer and start of July, where people from all around the world, literally almost every country in the world, will send someone, and it'll be singing groups, dancing groups. They have poetry, all sorts of different groups of people coming together from all around the world to celebrate their own individual cultures, and that's been held in Llangollen for years. So it's got a unique thing. So if you're here at the start of July, then that would certainly be an unmissable experience for you if you really want to see things.
Yeah, great.
The other thing that Llangollen's got is just outside Llangollen, within a few miles of Llangollen, you've got 3 other really nice attractions. The big one being the World Heritage Site, which is Pontcysylite. If you're writing that down, you better check the spelling on that one, because it's not an easy one to spell.
Okay.
And it's a gigantic viaduct, which you can walk along. So you can actually walk along the viaduct. It's a canal crossing, because there used to be a steelworks there, so the boats used to take the coal across to the steelworks. And you've got a sheer drop with not a very high fence between you and the sheer drop on one side. And if you're even more brave, you can actually go on a canal boat and cross over the aqueduct on the canal boat. And on the far side, there's no wall at all. So you literally are looking over the edge of your boat, and you're looking down at a 100-foot drop down you. So it's a bit one of those ones that makes you feel a bit woozy. You hang on when you're going on one of those. So Pontcysylite is really worth a quick visit. An hour or so of your time that'd be very well spent. Just above Llangollen, looking down on the town, is a place called Dinas Bran. It's the remains of an old castle. It actually means City of the Crows, Dinas Bran. Okay. Translate it from the Welsh. And it's such a steep hill looking right down above the town, and the views around the Berdwin Mountains are very, very pretty. And then just beyond that, you've got Vala Crucis, which is historically, in terms of religious importance, is very, very important for the area. It was an abbey that King Henry VIII didn't like very much and managed to get rid of, along with several other abbeys. But at the time, it was extremely important. And there's a stone just outside, a little stone monument. It's in the middle of a field, and it was really important. It's the Pillar of Eliseg, and it was many of the Welsh kings thought having possession of that gave them the right to rule the area. So you've got some really ancient history there, along with, I say, being based in a nice, pretty town of Llangollen. So Llangollen comes in at number 4.
All right, sounds very beautiful. Next time I go to North Wales, I think I'd like to check that out and spend some time there. Sounds darling.
Yeah.
All right, Trevor, top places to visit in North Wales, number 3.
Okay, well, I'd be kicked out of town if I didn't put this one in. So I'm going to put Llandudno and Conwy next, where I live. I live in between 2 beautiful places. They are only 2 miles apart. And they are really, both of them offer something quite unique for visitors. I would suggest to people, if they're thinking of coming to North Wales, that this is the best place to make as your base. Firstly, it's the easiest to get to. There's good transport links. There's road and rail links to Llandudno and to Conwy. There's also a good range of accommodation here within town, from large hotels through to small cottages, small 16th century cottages you can live in. And there's lots of things to do in both towns. In Conwy, it's the old walled town at the base of Edward I's castle. So you've got a castle dating from 1284. You can go in, you can walk around the castle walls, and a lot of the old buildings are still there. There's one place called Plas Mawr, which is on the main street, which is the Wynn family, who are big landowners in the area. It was their house, and there's a little audio guide you can go around. So they've done the house out as it was in Elizabethan times.
Yeah.
So you're right back to the 1500s, and you're looking at and seeing how they lived, and their kitchen area and the furniture they used to use. It's a really informative time. So if it's history you really love, particularly the old history, Conwy might be your better base. If not, then Llandudno. Llandudno is an old Victorian seaside town. It was built and planned as a seaside town with a lovely sweeping bay with hotels all the way along the bay, and it's been really kept up well, and it's still kept on to its tourism. Unlike many other places that have lost their tourist trade, Llandudno has kept itself up. It looks like a very pretty town, and because it's been a tourist town for all its life, it's got lots of activities you can do there. There's a Victorian tram where you can take up to the hill that dominates the island, called the Great Orme. There's a whiskey distillery here. You can take a stroll along the promenade, go along the pier. Lots of different features there. You might even run into a goat or two. These notes on the side of my van with what my logo is. I'll get in front of the camera.
There
It's a mock-up of the Welsh flag, but with a goat, because we're famous for our goats here in Llandudno. There's always been a colony of goats up there because Queen Victoria was given a pair of cashmere goats by one of the Maharajas, and she clearly didn't want them, so she palmed them off on Lord Mostyn, who owned the land here. And he just shoved them up on the Great Orme, the hill, I say, that dominates Llandudno. And the two original ones are now over 200. So there are lots of them walking around. And every now and again, they have come down to the edge of town. But during COVID, because everyone was so quiet, lots of them came, and they were walking. There's pictures of them walking up and down the main street, standing outside the shops, standing in bus shelters. They had a whale of a time because there were no humans there to annoy them. But the problem is they've taken a liking now to people's plants. Up on the hill, they've got grass, and more grass. But when they come into town, they've got petunias, dahlias. They can choose it's a smorgasbord of goat food. So even now that people are back into town and town is busy again, we still get our goats coming down, particularly at springtime, where you see them on roundabouts, just sat there walking up and down the street with not a care in the world. It's quite a unique sight to come and see. So Llandudno and Conwy, as I say, make it my number 3. Because they are real all-rounders, and I say it would be the best place to use as your base for North Wales, because we're in the middle of the North Wales coast. So you can go to Llangollen one way and go the other way into Snowdonia, and we're not too far from Anglesey. So that's number 3.
All right. Yeah, my wife and I stayed in the Llandudno, and we enjoyed ourselves immensely. Beautiful beach. We enjoyed the pier, and there are places to shop walking along that long pier, and just the city itself is so quaint and so beautiful. It's like stepping back in time. So we enjoyed it.
It's been deliberately kept because the family that built it, they still have quite a lot of control over what can and can't be built on town. So you might have noticed that there were no food outlets at all along the seafront. Okay, a lot of other seaside towns have chip shops and all sorts of other things there, fast food joints. Nothing at all there. It's all very controlled. They even control what colour the hotels can be painted.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Well, so that's why it looks so nice.
Keeps up the standards, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely, yes.
Right. Okay, Trevor. Top places to visit in North Wales. Number 2.
Number 2, right? For number 2, I've gone for Llanberis. I mean, people come to North Wales to see Snowdonia, which is a range of mountains, and the biggest of the lot is Snowdon itself. And Llanberis lies at the foot of Snowdon. So if you want to go up Snowdon, you can. You've got 2 different options. There's the easy option of getting the steam train that goes up, which is very nice, but on a cloudy day is not so good. Or you can do it the hard way and actually walk up. It's a 3.5-hour hike up. But there are several different paths you can take to get up to the top of Snowdon. And if you are lucky enough to get a clear day, you can see for miles, and it is beautiful at the top there. And you feel like you've really done something, you've really achieved something. So if you're going to walk up Snowdon, Llanberis is the place to go.
Okay.
But don't ignore Llanberis itself, because Llanberis itself has lots of other features, which I think are even more attractive. As you probably know from our time, I'm a bit of a slate freak. And we've got in Llanberis, you've got the National Slate Museum, which tells you the history of the slate industry. You've got houses, a terrace of houses that have been rebuilt, that were actually in another village. They built them brick by brick in the museum there, and have been decorated out as they were in the 1870s.
Yes.
You've got demonstrations of people splitting slates, and it just tells you all you need to know about the industry, and it's set in the right place. It's not a museum in the middle of a city. It's a museum in amongst where the slate was being mined. So another World Heritage Site is actually the slate scenery that we've got in this valley, because you can see the scars on the landscape. On one side of the valley that Llanberis is in has been mined extensively for slate, and you can see that the steps where the slate was taken away from the time. So you've got that. And if that wasn't enough, you've even got a little castle there. There's a castle called Dolbaden Castle, which is really pretty. And it's in a stunning place looking out down the valley. And it was the last stronghold of the Welsh princes. So when Edward came and built his castles, he tried to do away with the Welsh royal families. This was their last battle. It was in Dolbaden Castle.
Okay.
And so you've also got the history. Lots to do, and you've even got a steam train if you wanted a steam train along a lake. So you really could spend a couple of days in Llanberis doing lots of different things, and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. So the tram that takes you up, because I didn't have an opportunity to do this, the tram that takes you up to Snowdon, for those who have mobility issues, does it take you all the way to the top, or after
it takes you to within about 20 feet of the top? Yeah, there's a summit, there's a restaurant at the top. They've even got a restaurant at the top where you can look and sit in the view, a lovely glass window where you can sit and look at the view. And then if you want to, then you have to go behind it. But as I said, it's very busy. 500,000 people go up there every year. So to get to the very summit, there's a little point on the summit, some steps going up to which says this is the summit. For that, you sometimes have to queue up to an hour to get up to, because there's so many people milling around there. But if you've walked up, I can recommend the hot chocolate. Hot chocolate in there is as good as you're going to get anywhere else. I don't know whether it's nice or whether it's just because it's so welcome, but it's a fantastic little, it's a nice place to go. But yes, mobility issues, no problem. It will take you right to the top.
Great. So Trevor, what is the Welsh name for Mount Snowdon?
The Welsh name for Snowdon is Yr Wyddfa. Because and the Welsh government now actually wants us to use that word for it, because Snowdon itself was named after an English lord. So Wyddfa is Snowdon, and the area is called Eryri, which means the land of the eagles. So I should have given it its proper name, which I do apologise for that one. Yes, it's the way it goes. Just some change. I still call it Snowdon, I must admit, but a lot of people do.
Yeah, well, I'm sure in time that maps will change, and I mean, we're experiencing the same thing in the United States, that a lot of areas of this country are being renamed to an original name they had with Native Americans going back
Native Americans, of course,
years ago. So I think that's something that's happening in much of the world today, giving due and credit to the people who originally called those lands their home. So I guess that only makes sense. Yeah. All right, we were talking about a few minutes ago a castle. And the #1 top place to visit in North Wales didn't surprise me, because it was so beautiful and so inspiring. So tell us what the #1 top place to visit in North Wales is.
Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. It's Caernarfon Castle. I would say if you come to North Wales and you don't go to Caernarfon Castle, you've done something wrong, because Caernarfon Castle as a site is just spectacular to see. It's what every child would draw a picture of a castle, but beyond that, it's also in a beautiful setting, and it's been really well restored. All castles, once we had the Act of Union, and there was no need for the English and Welsh to be fighting each other, all castles fell into disrepair. The lead on the roofs was disappeared and used elsewhere, so all of them fell into disrepair. Most of them are still hollow shells. But what they've done with Caernarfon is, for most of the towers now, they've restored the roofing that's there, and there's displays in there which tell you the history of the castle.
Right.
Boy, does Caernarfon Castle have some history. So when it was first built, Edward was quite determined to try to win the Welsh over. So he promised them a Prince of Wales, who spoke no English and was born in Wales. And the locals wrapped that up. So he dragged his poor pregnant wife all the way up to London, probably on horseback at the time. It had taken us several weeks, and they gave birth to the boy who became Edward II in Caernarfon Castle. You can actually stand in the room where the first Prince of Wales was born. And the reason we have a Prince of Wales still to this day is right back from that time. So you've got that, and then talking of Princes of Wales, Charles and Edward and other princes before them have had their Prince of Wales inauguration in Caernarfon Castle. And again, you can stand on the spot and see the chairs that the Queen sat in and that Prince Charles used for that inauguration. You can even go out onto the balcony used and go and wave to the crowds if you're feeling
right.
particularly royal. Yeah. So it's a castle. If you're going to see one castle, come to see Caernarfon Castle. The others look fantastic from the outside, but the one to go into and really walk around because of its history is Caernarfon Castle. Then, of course, you've got the views, as I say, because it's between the mountain and the sea. So if your little legs can get you up to those turrets, right up to the top, you can see all the way across Anglesey on one direction. On the other direction, you're looking at Snowdon and all of the. So I should get Wother, not Snowdon. I'm still getting that one wrong. Snowdon and all the other mountains there on a clear day. Finally, Caernarfon is just like Conwy. It was a walled town, and most of the buildings within the walled area of Conwy are still the traditional buildings that are hundreds of years old. So a little walk around the town, some of these very narrow little streets built before cars were even thought about, makes your day out even more special.
Yeah, we found the castle to be breathtaking.
Yeah. I'm glad you agreed with it. Yeah.
One thing we enjoyed was the Welsh slate platform that Charles in the 1960s, the investiture occurred, is still there.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of debate about whether William would go there to be the Prince of Wales, because there were some problems when Charles was there. It was at the height of Welsh nationalism, because the Welsh language at the stage in the late 1960s was dying a death. So there were bomb threats and all sorts of things. So the original plan was for William to go to Cardiff, because we've now got our own parliament and do something there. So we'll have to wait and see, because nothing's been decided yet.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered
this is rhubarb on my shoulder, by the way.
Oh, beautiful. That's awesome. Yeah, I heard meowing earlier in the video here. Didn't know if you were a ventriloquist or if you had a cat in the room. So I guess that answers the question.
Yeah.
All right. She's gone. So we've looked at the 6 top places to visit in North Wales. And again, not everything can make the list. There are some wonderful places to visit in North Wales that could not be on the top 6 list. We'll call them honorable mention. So let us know what a few of those, in your opinion, the honorable mention would be.
Okay, so there's a few places that either are slightly smaller or have something specialist that they really suffer. So I'm going to start off with Bodnant Gardens. Bodnant Gardens is the former home of Lord Aberconwy. It's not far away from Llandudno. And particularly if you're here in May time, the gardens are absolutely stunning. The planting that's gone on there, the azaleas, the rhododendrons, they're out in full bloom during May time. It's absolutely, it does really take your breath away. But the planting's there all year round. So there's a rose garden, there are lakes, there's a river runs through the property. It really is a very pretty and quaint place. And if you're into gardens, that'll go to number 1 in the list. That even takes over Caernarfon Castle, because as gardens go, they don't get much better than Bodnant Gardens.
Okay, wonderful.
I'd say this time of year, I mean, we're into November now, not so much to see, just looking at the trees really that are there. So it depends when you come, and I say what things you like. But Bodnant Gardens, if you're a garden lover, is definite one for you. On Anglesey, there are the Menai Straits and the Menai Suspension Bridge. Now, this bridge has such history, and it was a really important engineering feat at the time. It finally linked up the island of Anglesey. Before that, people had to go across on boats, and the Menai Straits themselves are quite treacherous. The water flows really quickly up and down the straits. This bridge is almost 200 years old, and it still looks as stunning as it did when it started. A little bit of rust here and there, but generally it's looking as good as it was when it started. And you look at that and think, 200 years ago, how did they get that done? And you think the technology we've got today, which would cause it no problem, and the time it would take us to get something like that built today, And here they were 200 years ago doing that. So Menai Bridge, and there's a lovely viewpoint where you can look down on the Menai Straits with the mountains behind. That's definitely worth half an hour of your time.
Oh, great.
Then a few more specialist things that you could do. If religious history is part of your desires, then there's a couple of places in North Wales I'd recommend. Near a town called Bala, which is a pretty town on a lake. There's Byd Mary Jones World. Mary was a young girl who wanted a Bible, and she didn't have a Bible. She heard a Bible was for sale almost 30 miles away, and she walked on her own 30 miles to go and try and get herself a Bible. You know, and there's a little museum that just traces. It's quite niche. Obviously, we're not talking about a massive tourist operation here, but it's just something that just shows you what devotion can do, and what people will do for their religion. So Mary Jones World is really nice. On a larger scale, there's an island called Ynys Enlli, or Bardsey Island. It's at the end of the Llyn Peninsula, which is a very pretty place. And you can go across the island. It's an ancient site that people used to go and visit. It was part of a route that people used to do as part of a religious procession. So it was really nice place to go to. To get there today, you've got to go across on a boat. And I say it's a little bit amateurish. If you look it up, it gives you a phone number. It says phone Colin on this number, and Colin will tell you whether he can take you across on that day. All depends on the weather, because it can get a little bit lumpy. But the island itself is very because people are only coming over on a couple of boats. Right. There are very few people on the island. There's a big colony of grey seals there that are just lolling around the island, and it's just very pretty. And it really does take you back to the time to early Christianity, which is where it was started. So Ynys Enlli is well worth a visit. A couple of villages which are very pleasant to go and see. There's Betws and Bedd Gelert. Both of them offer you a pretty river running through a village with mountains either side of you, quaint oldie-worldy cottages to go and see, and a little bit of retail therapy as well, particularly in Betws. There are lots of shops in Betws. So Betws and Bedd Gelert are a nice little place. You know, I wouldn't say spend all day there, but certainly for a couple of hours, it's a nice place to stop and just take a breather, and they're just pretty and nice. So I'd go for those two. If you're still into castles, if you haven't had enough of castles, having seen Conwy and having seen Caernarfon, there are two more castles. Beaumaris Castle on Anglesey is very pretty. It's got a moat around it. And Harlech Castle further south is a strange one. It's a castle that was built on the coast. And there's even a port gate at the bottom with a little harbour. It's now a mile inland. What's happened is sand over the years has been taken up the coast. Yeah. And it's now, you stood on a quayside and then have to look and see the sea is about a mile away. It's quite a strange place. But again, the castle itself has been very well restored, and it really does stand out looking out on the coast. So Harlech is well worth a visit. And they'd be the main ones I would say would be the most honourable ones. I say there are lots of other smaller places that you can see on the way. There's Abbey Falls, which is a nice big waterfall you can go to. There are several other very pretty viewpoints. And in an old town called Blaenau Ffestiniog, which is an old slate mining town, there's, for the more active people amongst you, there's the Llechwedd Caverns. And these are the old slate caverns. This is the one place in Wales where they actually had to dig underground. Most of the slate mines were open cast. But in this one, they had to dig underground. So they've left huge caverns below. And what developers have done, they've turned it into an adventurous paradise. So there's zip lines inside. There's trampolines you can bounce on inside these caverns. It's all lit up. Like, and if you've got a family with you, that's a really good family day out for that one. So those would be my honourable mentions for you.
All right, that's great. Thank you for that. Well, like any other site anywhere on Earth, there are always locations that are kind of overplayed. I'm going to give you my candidate, and then you can, I know that you have a few that you wanted to mention that you probably should avoid. And this isn't for everybody. Some people will love these locations, but, these are our opinion, and I'll start out with mine. In my visit to North Wales, I thought the location called the Ugly House was kind of a tourist trap. So they take you up to this home, and it's called the Ugly House, and it's not I wouldn't call it ugly. It's okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's okay. And so, and you can only see the outside of the house because we were told it's a private residence, so you can't even go inside. So when that was over and we're getting back, into the coach or whatever, I think many of us thought that was much to do about nothing, and
Yeah.
it was just a
I
filler.
call it the cute house. I think it's a cute little house. If you made me build a house, it would look like that. It's just rustic, isn't it? It's a rustic old house. Yeah, I know exactly the one you're talking about. Yes.
Okay, so that was my candidate. What areas do you think would probably be best for no for most people, though not all, but for most people, probably to avoid?
Okay, well, I've got three. One of them is very
Okay,
contentious. One of them not contentious at all, and the one of them I'll explain why it's there.
okay, sure.
I'll start off with a nice, easy one. There's a seaside town called Rhyl,
Hmm.
and poor old Rhyl hit hard times,
Mm,
and it's best to be avoided, to be honest. It was a seaside town, just like Llandudno, but
hmm.
unlike Llandudno, the development, the way it was developed was quite low scale,
Mm,
and lots of amusement arcades
hmm.
and those sort of things. And the trade has just gone. People now go on
Oh,
holiday from here. They go to Spain or to France.
mm,
They fly off into the sun. Um, and poor old Rhyl, most of the old hotels are now flats, blocks of flats with people
mm.
living in them. There's a drug problem in the town, so unless you've got a reason to go there, give
Hmm.
poor old Rhyl a miss. Let it
Okay,
suffer on its own.
right.
Now,
Okay.
I've just got to say, my daughter just got engaged to a boy who comes from Rhyl, so I'm probably going to get the family now. So let's hope none of them see this show.
Yeah, we'll keep him away from this video. That's for sure.
There we are.
Okay.
Right, the second one you said about places being overhyped.
Yes.
So I've gone for Llanfair, Pwll Gwyngyll, Gogerich, Chwyndrobwyll, Lladysylio, Goch. Uh, I just had to get it in just to show off I can say it. In terms of the hype, I mean, almost every coach group that comes to North Wales will take you
Right.
there. But
Yes.
if you're expecting something big and massive, then you will be slightly disappointed. It is a train station with a shop next to
Hmm.
it. That's really all it
Right.
is.
Sure. Right.
But it's a great place to go and take your photos. Go and take
Yes.
there, but don't get hopes up too much. You're going to see some fantastic display or anything because it's not. It's a train station with a very long name. Which
Right.
we went there, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We did.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
remember taking you there. You had a good go at saying it, even didn't you?
I didn't do very well at all. Actually, my wife, who's part Polish
I
and
was
Irish, did a better
yeah.
job than I did on
I was going to say
pronouncing
she
it.
was very good. Yes, I must admit. Yeah, you came second there on that day.
Yeah, but there were only two of us, and I came in
I was
second.
being
So.
kind to you there, Greg.
All right. And you have one other location that's probably debatable or contentious with some.
Oh yes,
So,
one of the biggest places that many tourists come to, and I'm sure lots of people like it. I took a group of Texan ladies there the other day, and they loved it, but I just don't get it. And it's a place called Portmeirion. Now,
okay.
Portmeirion, for those of you who don't know, it's an Italian style village. It was built by an artist, Clough Ellis Williams, in the 1900s. He'd been out living in somewhere near Naples, a place called Portofino, and he fell in love with the architecture there. So he
Yeah.
thought, I'm going to build it in North Wales. And it is a place that you can go and see, and you get to see this architecture, this Italian
Hmm.
architecture. If I want to see Italian architecture, I'll go to Italy. For me, I just don't get why it's there,
Right.
and it is just a few buildings. It's a bit higgledy-piggledy as well. You know, he's done things clearly at different times. I thought, oh, I know, I'm going to build a tower in the shape of something of a tower he'd seen to, and I say it's something that if you love your architecture, please go there. But for me, it's just something I just don't get. When I went there last, I just simply took a walk. It's a lovely setting. I took a walk along the beach
Hmm.
and let my guests enjoy the village
Yeah.
itself. So yeah. So I said you'll probably get a flood of people saying no, it's the best place to go to. But for me, I say I just don't get why it's there or what it is, and I certainly it's quite hard to get to. Public transport wise is
Hmm.
extremely hard to get to.
Yeah.
I would suggest, unless it's really your thing, give it a miss.
Yeah. Well, I would say that it's quite quirky having been there. It's certainly different. There's actually a
Quirky, I
famous
like the word.
there's a
Yeah,
famous photograph of the gentleman who designed that location being
yeah,
visited by Frank Lloyd Wright, who was a Welsh American architect, and
yeah.
both of them sitting together meeting each other for the first time at that location at Portmeirion. So just an interesting photograph that I ran across on the internet.
All right.
So
Yeah.
interesting location. And again, the only word that I could use to describe it is quirky. So some people will love it and some people may not like it at all. So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor, thanks a million today for your insight and for sharing both your personal experiences. And of course, you're a resident of North Wales, great tour guide. So thank you for being a tour guide of my wife and I. Again, Trevor is the proprietor of Tudno Tours. You can find out more about him at tudnotours.com. In the comments section below, I'm going to leave all of his contact information. And that's it for today's video program. If you feel there's a great location in North Wales that Trevor and I missed, let us know in the comments below. I'm sure some of you will. Be sure to give us a like and ring the bell. If you ring the bell, you will immediately be notified of all future videos that are sent out by the Welsh American channels. So special thanks to you, Trevor. And special thanks to all of you for watching today's video and being part of the Welsh American channel. This is Greg Thomas, Hoyle Nauer. Bye for now.